All right, guys, I don't know about you, but one, you're not seeing me because I am like in long johns and a sweater and looking pretty rough because it is cold. We've got, feels like negative 25 Fahrenheit outside right now. So yeah, you're not seeing me like this, but I wanted to share something with you because I don't know how many of y'all use those canned biscuits. I prefer homemade, but sometimes my husband wants biscuits and I don't feel like it. So we do have some canned biscuits that we keep in the fridge for days like that. And he will make them, but he only makes part of a can, and I can't see buying the small cans because it just costs so much. So we got the bigger cans, and then we have these left over, and they're kind of a little flat and they don't rise as well. So I do something for him that I call cinnamon fingers, and I'll take these and I'll roll them. I'll show you here today. But I roll these out, and then I fill them with melted butter and brown sugar, pecans, and this warm spice mix that I do, which is basically cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, clove, mace. I don't recall. I've got it written down because I always forget something if I don't read what I wrote down. But anyway, this is my warm spice mix. I use it. You use your own spices. You could even just do it with cinnamon, right? And your brown sugar and pecans. I don't put pecans if I'm actually eating them, which is pretty rare because all the sugar that goes in it. But I just mix the sugar, the brown sugar, and the butter until I get kind of a paste, right? And then this is just cinnamon sugar. It's cinnamon and granulated sugar. I keep a little jar of it here, and I just mix it up. I probably ought to mix some more up. And I just keep it on my shelf. I do here, and I will show you what I'm going to do. All right, I know. I said you guys weren't going to see me. I couldn't figure out a way to do it without you seeing me. So, I also know I said that this is done with tinned biscuits, but you can do it with regular biscuit dough too, if you want. It's just a good way to use that extra dough that you've got kind of left over and not really knowing what in the world to do with it because it won't quite perform the way you really like it to otherwise. I mean, I'd be just as happy using it on top of like a bake, like doing, sometimes I'll do my my chicken pot pie or beef pot pie fillings, and I just put them in a pan, and then I put old biscuit dough on top of them instead of bothering with a pie crust, and it works really well, actually. You know, obviously it's not a pot pie at that point, but anyway, you just roll the dough out as thin as you want it. I mean, it can be fairly thick if you want it to be. A piece of butter. Just roll it out as thick or as thin as you want it. I've got it about, I don't know, maybe 1/5 of an inch. And you're going to mix your brown sugar in with the melted butter. Now, you're about to see how I measure stuff, guys, so don't hold it against me. And as, what's her name, Emily likes to say, my impeccably clean hands. She's so cute. I swear she is. She's just adorable. I watch her videos half the time just to watch her. She's just cuter than can be. Okay. And what you're going to wind up with is a kind of like a paste. See how that is right there? Kind of shiny and pasty, and that's what you want. And then you're going to add in your spice, and it's not much at all. Maybe a teaspoon, maybe a little bit more. I go by smell, guys. I really am. I'm a smell cook, a smell and taste cook. And I've, part of my problem, I guess, is I've been cooking since I was 3. got a picture of me when I was little, dropping an egg on the floor because I thought sitting them on the countertop was a smart idea. I still do it sometimes. You think I'd have learned in all these years? Okay, now that it's mixed like this, just spread the mix around, and what you're going to want to do is take it, and you can't see, I'll pick it up here in just a second. You're going to spread the mix around. Now, be aware, this is going to melt out. That's okay. We know that. We're dealing with butter and sugar. We know it's going to melt out. We're actually going to use that to our benefit while it's cooking. I'll show you. But you want to mix it around so that it's covered about like so. See how we're doing? So you got the edges that aren't really covered, but you got a nice good little bit there in the middle. And then if you want pecans, like my husband does, put pecans on it. I don't put pecans on mine when I allow myself to eat them, which isn't very often. But I do put raisins in mine. I like raisins in mine. Dried cranberries would be really good. Ooh, you know what would be really good is like a cranberry orange marmalade. Would go really, really nice in this. Instead of the cinnamon sugar, if you did a orange cranberry marmalade, it'd be really good. My husband's about to come home, so you're gonna hear the dogs going nuts. I will apologize for that. I'm gonna pause while I smack this. You don't need to be hearing that. I'm just crushing the pecans. Okay, pecans crushed. I didn't want you to have to hear, especially because it's right on there. Not only would you have heard, but the camera probably would have jumped all over the place and just would have been unappealing and not fun to deal with at all. So you're just gonna sprinkle your pecans around as much as you want, lots or little. My husband, as I said, is a pecan nut, so he gets a lot. And then you're just gonna roll these kind of like a cinnamon roll. Just roll them shut. And tuck the ends under. I'll show it to you a little closer so you can actually see it. You're going to pinch and tuck the ends under. Now it doesn't really matter because all that butter and sugar is going to melt out anyway, but it does help the overall look a little bit, I think. Let's see, we just got a nice little roll here that we've rolled over, and we've tucked and pinched the ends. And then we're just going to take it and roll it in the cinnamon sugar. And you're going to want to have some cinnamon sugar left over too, so don't use it all for this because we're going to do a final sprinkle. And I will admit I do use powdered sugar at the very last little bit. You'll see. These things are not healthy. They're not healthy. This is for your I feel like being sinful today moods. This is not for health food. This is so not health food. Maybe healthy for the soul, but not healthy for the body, right? Good to indulge every once in a while. Now you could make these savory pockets and stuff like that, but that would be a whole different thing. We're doing sweets right now. I'm gonna do the last 3 of these, and then I'm gonna pop them in a 325-degree oven, and about halfway through, I'm gonna turn them. So I will show you what they look like about halfway through. You don't need to be watching me do this for the next 3. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna pause you. I'll bring you back whenever I look at them in the oven, okay? Okay, I brought you back just a little bit early because I wanted to show you how they're set up. I've just got them on a foil-lined pan. You can use parchment, whatever. I would recommend doing it unless you just really love scrubbing basically syrup out of your caramel candy, basically, out of your tin. So I would use foil. But I make up about 4. It's generally how much we have left. That brown sugar you saw me doing is pretty much gone. Now these are just going to pop in the oven right about the middle, and I've got them, like I said, at 325 in a gas stove, and that's 325 Fahrenheit, right? So what, probably about 160 Celsius. I don't know if that's off the top of my head, guys. Somebody look it up and tell me if I got it right or wrong, would you? But those will go in my oven and probably about 10 minutes. I'm going to, and I realize I'm talking to you while you see my floor and everything else, but they're going to go in my oven and they'll be in there for about 10 minutes, and then I will turn them, and I'll see you back then. Okay, so we're about halfway through the cooking time. They're nice and quasi-solid. We're going to flip them over here, and you can see some of the butter and sugar is melted out. We actually don't have as much butter as I was hoping we would have. Yes, I said hoping. I like using that butter to get a nice coating on the cinnamon fingers. Okay. Okay, so here we are, fresh out of the oven. This one decided to kind of undo itself a little bit, but that's okay. Give them a nice roll. We've got a little bit more butter down in here, which is good. The reason I like that butter is because then it really kind of coats the richness and the almost like a caramelly flavor. It's really good. Now, I'm going to powdered sugar over the top with my doohickey. I know the word for it, I just can't remember it right now. That requires 2 hands, so I'm going to put my phone down and then I will show you the finished product, plated, and hopefully before my husband grabs it. And there we go, plated and full of sin. Certainly not something I will be eating anytime soon. Mostly because I'm still trying to lose weight. But if you want a totally decadent breakfast, here you go. Hey, give me your opinion. Okay, no. You don't get any. You're being recorded, by the way, so you better tell them how much you love them.
Well, I can already tell you what my opinion is.
Careful, it's hot.
Okay. Like I said, this is the nicest thing you've ever done for me.
Let me see the inside of that so they can see what it looks like. It just all absorbs right into it. So, happy?